DJ and PK, multiple questions up on our Facebook page, DJ and PK. Go there for Ute Talk, Cougar Talk, and where are we ranking Shohei Ohtani now? Jared, he's good. A little better than good. 6 for 6, 3 homers, 10 ribbies. The 50-50 season, which is now 51 homers, 51 stolen bases. And wait till next year when he could be pitching again.
I don't know that I'd have him pitch.
Jeopardizes everything else?
Depending on what I got on my staff. I don't want to throw away a bat like this, an historic bat like this. He is without a doubt the best designated hitter of all time. The first designated hitter, of course, being Ron Blomberg for the Yankees in 1973 and all the way through. Edgar Martinez being right up there and some other guys, Ortiz, that were great DHs, but Shohei has surpassed them all. I told you when you asked me about the greatest living player when Willie Mays passed, I said we will go from the say-hey kid to the Shohei kid. And you scoffed at me, as you usually do.
I believe I remember chuckling at that. Shohei.
Right, and it was a derisive chuckle.
Yeah, okay.
You were questioning my acumen in baseball and son, and I call you son appropriately when it comes to baseball because I am the dad here. And I know what I'm talking about. And we have gone from the say-hey kid to the Shohei kid.
Jaden.
Yes, it was clever, but that's just me.
Wow, wow, wow. 3 exclamation points. The anticipation of what he will do next makes me interested in baseball again. He has to be in the GOAT talk.
I've got no problem with that conversation.
Jason, best ever exclamation point.
I'm hesitant to give him the MVP because it's not best player, it's most valuable player. And the Dodgers are going to win the division and they're going to go to the playoffs just like they have 10 out of the last 11 seasons before Shohei got there. So how valuable is he?
Doug, MVP.
But at the same time, the numbers are astronomical. And it reminds me of Derek Jeter when he had his race for 3,000 hits. He entered the day at 2,995, I believe. And he went 5 for 5. And if memory serves, and I'd have to double check it, the 3,000th hit was a frigging home run. And he's not a home run hitter. Shohei obviously is a home run. He's big. He is a beast of a man. And he can run, too. He's got the strength of, what's a cliche, Hercules, and the speed of a horse. I mean, this guy can really do so much.
Didn't you think it was a nice touch for the 50th stolen base? Instead of stealing second, where most bases are stolen, he stole third, where you got to be faster, you got to get the great jump. It's obviously the shorter throw for the catcher. I'm not going to steal second. I'm still third. Put a little exclamation point on this one.
You know, I'd have to look at the situation. I don't remember the situation. I know that the Baseball Network blew out showing the natural and just went with they did a little post game with Harold Reynolds and Pedro and whoever the moderator dude is. And they just kept rerunning that. I was looking forward to watching the natural.
And you'll have to look forward to that this winter when I'm sure they will show the natural. They got all the baseball movies on lockdown, don't they?
It must be a television obligation because Fox had on 2 games. And I was quite hot under the collar because I sat down at around 6 o'clock looking for my Diamondbacks, and I went to 686 on my direct television, and they were not there. And then I went to 13, and it was the Phillies-Mets. And I assumed that must have been the backup game, which then meant that the Diamondback broadcast people could not do it. So I didn't get to see it, but I have the app as far as the radio, so I just listened on the radio and didn't get to watch it. And so the Baseball Network then, I guess, is obligated. They can't show highlights until after the game that Fox is showing is on. Am I correct on that?
I think you are.
Yeah, because I went to Baseball and I'll get some updates. No, they didn't do that. The Philly Met game had some updates of the Diamondback game, But the Baseball Network, I watched the post game, and then I flicked back like a half hour later, and then a half after that, and it was the same post game being shown, interviewing Shohei, and then they did an on the field interview. A young lady interviewed him with the interpreter, and then the guys in the Baseball Network studio, they interviewed him, and he can speak English. I get it. He's not comfortable. He just wants to make sure. I would, if I'm in Japan and I've learned Japanese for 2 years, I'd probably do the same thing. Or I'd probably shrivel up and die and say, "Don't ask me any questions." But he can speak English, and he answered a little bit, and he can do that thing, and he actually sounds very, very good. I mean, obviously, he's an intelligent man, but the way he presents himself, and given the fact of and we have pretty much, you can fill in the blank, any type of minority group or ethnic group. We have a lot in the U.S. of whatever it is. And obviously, having lived in L.A., the number of Japanese in that area are just dominant. And so, wow, the money that he's going to make and the ability that he has. And he's charismatic, too, I think. And he seems to be just one whale of a player. I don't know where you go from here, but at the same time, he's progressed and gotten better. We're talking about BYU's offensive progressing. I think you can say Shohei has gotten better. That's why I don't know that I would mess with him as a pitcher.
They got a lot of pitching. They don't have a lot of healthy pitching.
Yeah.
Right. But they've got a lot of pitching.
I was texting
question for the offseason.
A friend of mine who is a long time, literally a lifelong Dodger fan, and he was bemoaning the lack of pitching.
Is that Danny?
Danny
the Dodger? We know Larry the Laker.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Ronnie the Ram.
I guess you could say that, yes.
Yeah.
There's a somewhat of a connection there. And he said it was the greatest offensive performance he's ever seen. And I don't know that I can argue with that. 6 for 6.
With 3 homers.
And it wasn't just like in June. It was when you were going for something historic, right? And we're in September. There's less than 2 weeks to go in the season. And to be something like that's showtime. And in L.A., in order to register on the sports meter, you have to have showtime.
Yeah, you got to have sizzle.
Yeah.
There's got to be sizzle to go with the steak.
Right.
You need to be in first place.
Yeah.
You need the steak. But then you need the quiet Tim Duncan. Who else is a quiet superstar?
Shaq.
No. You need Shaq. You need
Kobe.
that energy. You do. You need the Shaq and Kobe and Magic. I guess Kareem was quieter. Pete Sampras in tennis was quiet. Every sport has them.
And Sampras got a knock on that, and he's a
Yeah.
Southern California kid too. That you have to have some charisma in that way, and Trout has gotten that as a knock when he was healthy. He's been injured a lot in the last several years, but he wasn't necessarily a big-time charismatic dude. I think Shohei, a flair for the performance, was there in spades. And
he came so close to 4 homers too. The first one, the double, which actually set up the stolen base, he hit it off the wall.
Yeah.
I guess the launch angle was wrong. It looked like he hit it hard. But
that's fine.
Yeah.
Take a double every time.
Take a double. Got thrown out going to third, trying to cycle. If going for the cycle with the second double.
Mm-hmm. But 6 for 6 is just unbelievable. Danny the Dodger, as you nicknamed him, was bemoaning the fact that they may not have pitching in the postseason, which you can have all the offense you want, but pitching is a requirement in most especially in postseason.
Yeah.
So I threw something out there. I said, well, Trevor Bauer's fresh. Oh, I'd take him. I don't think that's going to happen.
Trevor Bauer.
Yeah. And then they lost Urias. He got domestic assault outside of a soccer game. He went to a soccer game. He's gone. And Glasgow, they're saying, is not coming back for this season. Kershaw seems, as much as it pains me because he's been one of my favorite players of all time, he does seem washed up. And so I don't know that relying on him. I told him, I texted him back. I said, oh, don't worry. Kershaw, he'll be like Koufax this postseason. Bark it down. Koufax now.
80-year-old. How old is Koufax? Is he 80?
I think he is, although he looks marvelous for whatever age he is. But, yeah, that's something to watch as they get in the postseason because you must have pitching, and you cannot win without it. You cannot outslug your way to the World Series and win the World Series. And if you have a payroll the level of the Dodgers and all that, it is truly World Series or bust.
Koufax is 88. He
know.
does look awesome. DJ and PK, when we come back, the Utes and the Cougars, a lot of you weighing in on what you expect this weekend. BYU, can they pull the upset? Will the offense show up with an awesome performance? And the Utes, did they put their stamp on the Big 12? That's next. Stay with us.